So if you own a Honda CR-Z, this may be a familiar sight to you. This is my passenger side door handle, and it's broken right there. This is apparently a really common problem, and what you could do is you could buy a replacement part straight from Honda, run you about $300 in the same color for your car, and then bang it in and then hope it doesn't break again in the next 5 years or so. I'm not a fan of that solution, so what I've done is I've gone ahead and come up with something a little bit more long term. And I just wanted to talk about what it is and then how you can go ahead and make your own. Keeping in mind, because I'm using the original assembly here from this broken latch, this more robust replacement actually costs less than half of what an OEM replacement part would run you. So what it is it's a handle here made from stainless steel and a replacement for this nylon piece that goes on the inside of the handle. So once you install it all together, it operates just like the normal handle, but it's going to be much more robust and unlikely to break in the future. So how do you go about making one of these? Well, you need a few things. First thing you need is a 3D model for this handle. So you can get the 3D model off this guy here. He actually made the models already. He took the time and effort to pull apart his handle, 3D scan the original handle, and then upload the cleaned up mesh to Etsy. So go buy the models from him. The second thing that you'll need is this piece here. So I've 3D printed this out of nylon, and this is to replace the original part here. Once you fix this handle latch, which Honda originally made from a thermoset plastic, which I think is polypropylene, the next weakest link is this part. So I've modeled a replacement for this piece. I'll provide a link for it in the forum post, which I'll have linked in the video description here as well. Let me show you what would happen if you didn't install this piece. So say you go ahead and you replace the latch with this stainless steel part, but you don't replace this piece here, this nylon bit. Well, what could happen to you is that you go to install the handle, and just because this nylon piece is worn out, what can happen is it can slide past that very small point of contact right in there. And that looks like this. So just a little click, and now it's stuck. Nothing I can do will open this handle. If I tried to brute force it, it would just snap. If you got really unlucky, it could slip all the way past. Like that. And now the handle's totally loose on the inside. And it's exactly the same problem, but this time it was this piece that failed. So I would recommend against using the factory part here. Go ahead and replace it with the one that I've modeled below. The way that you install this, you just put the handle in, push the spring past without that piece on, and then once you've pushed it past, you could just slip this on over the top. And because I've extended that edge here down to there, there's no way that this can slip past. It won't get stuck. And because it's made of nylon, as was the original piece, it will hold up to wear and tear over time. So once you get those 3D models, how do you get them printed? Well, really simple. I used a service called CraftCloud. They will link you up with suppliers from China who could 3D print in a variety of materials. Now, you could also try and find a 3D printer, say at your local library, that can do things like a carbon fiber inlay print. You're going to need something like that if it's going to be strong enough to hold up without failing in the same way as the original piece. I decided to go for a metal printed option. Now you could choose what metal you want, aluminium or stainless steel. I personally prefer the stainless steel just because it's a bit tougher and because it has a lower thermal conductivity than aluminium. Speaking of thermal conductivity, I've also added this small strip of vinyl on the inside. If this handle's sitting out in the sun and you've got to open the door, this is hopefully going to stop you from burning your fingerprints off your fingers. The other reason that stainless steel is pretty good is because since it's less thermally conductive and this part here will sit in the sun, what we're hoping is that it won't conduct heat so far back into the mechanism right up to the end of this part here and then inevitably melt this bit. Now I should take a note on finish. I actually polished this up myself. I wanted the polished chrome look, but you could do whatever feels right to you. As they come, it's already this bead blasted finish here, so that's really good surface to just paint straight away. You can get color match paint for your car and it'll probably still cost you less than the OEM replacement piece with the paint included. I would recommend against choosing any sort of post-processing because the guys at my factory decided to hand finish this surface on this part. I'll just put a clip here of what they did to it. Whoever was on the die grinder that day clearly didn't know what they were doing and they fully gouged out the surface, and it took about 15 minutes worth of sanding to get those gouge marks out and then polish things up to the way they are now. Now for this piece, you could also add this to your Craft Cloud order. They will print in nylon and send this to you. I've provided this one and a mirrored copy for the other side. As I mentioned before, the natural finish of the handle is quite rough. So if you can, I would recommend that you polish up this piece where it comes into contact with that nylon slider. So just polish this surface here and that will hopefully reduce some wear over time. So there you have it, some metal handles for the Honda CR-Z. With any luck, this strategy here will mean that both of Honda's design flaws there have been corrected for the long term and you'll never need to pull apart your door handles ever again. That's all for now. Let me know if you have any questions on the forum. Best of luck trying to do this yourself and let me know how you go.